Got a minute or two? We have a way to make it not okay. Welcome to Sinister Minutes. I'm your host, writer and storyteller, Kurt Homer. Next to me is the master of macabre musical musings, the maestro of mood, Tim Parker. Together, let us take you on a journey into the dark heart of disturbing. Sinister Minutes. It's not okay. Sinister Minutes features tales that include disturbing content. That's intentional, because like the podcast itself, the creators here at Sinister Minutes are really not okay. Content featured on this podcast may include descriptions of abuse, addiction, alcohol, blood, bodily fluids, bondage, bones, bullying, burning, cancer, cannibalism, cheating, clowns, coma, confinement, control, cults, death, decapitation, depression, diets, divorce, domestic abuse, drowning, drugs, dying, eating disorders, epidemics, experimentation, family conflict, fear, fighting, fire, gaslighting, ghosts, gore, guns, harassment, hate crimes, hazing, homelessness, homicide, hospitalization, hostage situations, hostile work environments, illness, incarceration, infidelity, injury, institutionalization, kidnapping, manipulation, medical procedures, memory problems, mental health issues, military service, misogyny, murder, mutilation, needles, nightmares, nudity, pain, panic attacks, paralysis, physical abuse, pornography, physical assault, police brutality, poverty, profanity, religion, robbery, scars, screaming, self-harm, smoking, snakes, spiders, stabbing, stalking, starvation, substance abuse, suicide, terrorism, threats, torture, victim blaming, violence, war, weapons, weather, and maybe, just maybe, witches. Welcome to another episode of the Sinister Minutes podcast. Today, Tim and I are busy eating all the Halloween candy that we stole from, found just laying outside in unguarded sacks and plastic pumpkins. We have no idea how it all got there, or why the people carrying it had to leave so suddenly. We're happy to share our spoils with the right sort of folks. Do you have what it takes? The first and most important step is to subscribe to Sinister Minutes wherever you listen to your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, wherever. Now, if you also left us a nice rating or review, damn, we'd be all over that, and you'd certainly be on our A list. Nobody on the B list ever gets invited to our parties, and they certainly don't get any of our hard-earned trick-or-treat candy. Of course, we'd have to find you first in order to put you on any of our lists. We have our ways, but if you want to make it easy on us, you can always find us on Facebook under Sinister Minutes or send us an email via sinisterminutes@gmail.com. Today's episode of Sinister Minutes features a tale inspired by a phenomena called the hum. There's a significant number of people in the world who claim to hear a deep, deep sound. Not so much like the lead singer for a death metal band, but more like one of their amps just before the bass player plucks that first chord. What makes that sound? Nobody knows for sure, or at least nobody admits to knowing for sure. But there's a clown in the sewer over there who might have an answer. After the story, which might just leave you humming along to Tim's soundtrack, he's got something special to share. An instrumental to keep you in the Halloween state of mind any time of year. A tone poem called Nobody's Bones. You can hum to that too, but it's highly likely that if you keep humming all the time, people around you are going to learn how much you are truly not okay.
The Hum. Written and narrated by Kurt Homan. "You hear it, don't you?" says the woman wearing a snug, knee-length emerald dress. She's fit enough to pull it off, although the flashiness of the outfit is not suitable for the environment, nor her 40-something years. Long brunette curls framing her face reveal several strands of gray. I turn to face her, not saying a word. There's no need. I'm positive the look on my face shows that I have no idea what she's talking about. "I watched you," she says, "when you walked in." Long, perfectly shaped fingernails reach for my sleeve, stop short, then fall back to her side. "I knew right away you're one of us." "I'm sorry," I say. "Have we met?" "We have not, I'm quite certain." It's the opening of the R. Frankowitz exhibit, a gymnasium-sized gallery housing their latest pieces of sculpture, either brilliant expositions of human emotion or heaping rusted piles of twisted metal, depending on your viewpoint. And possibly mood. I'm leaning toward rusty junk, but then I've been fighting off a nasty headache all day, and I'm not in a generous state of mind. There's no need to hide it from me. She looks behind us, curls bouncing at the 20-odd others in the gallery. De rigueur, black attire on most leaves them hidden in shadow. Only when they approach a piece do the overhead spotlights illuminate their chalk-white faces. Facing me again, she continues, her voice subdued but well above a whisper. "Trust me. I'm not about to call you crazy. Only something like 2% of everybody in the world hears it." Why would I trust her? I turn my head, bringing my ear closer to her mouth. "Here's what?" Leaning in, she's whispering so close that I feel the breeze of her words against my skin. "The hum, silly. You hear it all the time, just like I do." She pulls back and her scent clings to the air. "Jasmine? It feels so good to find another." "Are you referring to that noise outside?" I extend a thumb toward the exit. "Likely a delivery truck sitting in the alley, one that badly requires a tune-up." The sound grates on my nerves. as does Miss Emerald Dress. You know there's no truck, she replies, and then her voice drops an octave into a lower, more sultry tone. Or do you want to make a wager? What sort of game are you playing? Rolling my eyes, I take a step away from her and turn to the nearest sculpture, a twisted web of rebar linked with sections of barbed wire. Friendship, reads the plaque. Driving my hands deep into the pockets of my blazer, my fingers curl around my talisman, the charm I'm never without. Not taking the hint, as I knew quite well she wouldn't, she instead takes my arm. I know what you need, she says in that same sultry voice. She steers me past a velvet rope and down a shadowy hallway. I could shake her off, ask security to toss her out, but I don't. Her intentions might involve leading me to some hidden closet where she'll have her way with me, or dismember me, maybe both. My headache's bad enough that I almost don't care. That discordant rumbling sound, the one I described as an idling truck, is pounding against my poor brain like a heavy mallet. She opens a door, pushes me through, and strides in behind me before closing it with an audible click. I stumble, then whirl around, forgetting my headache long enough to assess the trap she's sprung around me. The space is no larger than a 2-car garage. It looks much smaller because all around us, the walls and ceiling are covered with hundreds, maybe thousands of foam spikes. An Iron Maiden crafted with comfort in mind. Dimmed amber spotlights are buried amongst the spikes overhead, casting pyramid-shaped shadows across the thickly carpeted floor. What is this place? I take a few steps farther in, at the same time putting some extra distance between us. My voice sounds odd in my ears, as though I'm hearing a recording of myself. Everything sounds odd. It's too quiet. This room's left over from Kiefer's exhibit, she says, her voice more jarring here than it was in the gallery. She titled it Peace at Last. I hope they never remove it. The name is rather fitting. In spite of the stress of being confined in a strange space with a stranger woman, my headache eases. The rumble and almost every other sound is gone. Is this meant to be something like a music studio? Better. I've been in a lot of music studios, and the hum comes right through the walls. This, she waves one hand in a circle above her head, is an anechoic chamber. The hum's still there. It's always there, but it's squashed way, way down. She moves deeper into the room. But it's not an effort to come closer to me, nor, thankfully, is she unbuttoning any clothing, or reaching into her bag for some sort of weapon. I relax a bit more. I've slept here, she says. My relaxation disappears. You excuse me? Her eyes sparkle in the lights. The guards don't check this area so well, not since they swapped exhibits. So I've managed to crash here a few times now. It's worth the risk. I know you're thinking about it. No, I'm not. Sleeping in vacant spaces is the sort of thing homeless bag ladies do. She doesn't look like a bag lady, at least not the sort who talk to themselves and anyone on the sidewalk who'll listen to them. The only bags this lady's familiar with come from Louis Vuitton, like the one she's carrying now. And that dress has certainly never touched a sidewalk. So not homeless, just a bit bonkers. I decide on a rational approach. Aren't there challenges involving quiet rooms? I recall reading that nobody can stand to be in one for even an hour. I'm trying to remember which direction we entered from. All the walls, including the door, are hidden under identical squishy foam spikes. A bead of sweat slides down my back. I'm in a room with a woman who sounds nuttier with every word she speaks. I have no idea how to get out. I don't even know this woman's name. Those challenges, she snorts, they're for the others, the ones who don't hear it. She holds up both arms, palms out. This really is the first place I've found any peace from it. You are referring to this thing you call the hum? She drops her arms, glares at me. Don't play dumb. I was pretty sure about you back in the gallery, but then you came in here and your whole body relaxed. If I wasn't 100% positive before, I am now. I really do want to walk out of this room and do it easily. If I were to dash to where I think the door is, would she pull a gun on me? All the soundproofing inside the space might even block the sound of a shot. Or would she not want to risk damaging the delicate silence? I drive my hands deeper into my pockets, wrapping my fingers around the smooth wood of my talisman. A little luck would be a wonderful thing. What is it? If I can keep her talking, we can work our way around to leaving, or so I hope. The hum, I mean. What actually causes it? That's a good question, she replies with a nod. I sigh, relieved. I'd been sure she was going to hit me with another "don't play dumb" speech as she pulled out a bat to break my kneecaps. There's a lot of theories. Some people think it's industrial, something to do with gas pipes or generators. Other people think it's natural. Sunspots, lightning strikes, maybe ocean waves. What do you think? I don't care so much about her answer as keeping her talking. Her voice still grates, but without the pounding headache, I can persevere. I think it's an experiment. She shifts a few feet farther from me toward the back end of the room. I breathe more easily with greater space between us. Since she's walking away, not looking at me, I take the chance to more closely check the walls. Am I seeing a doorknob? What sort of experiment? Toward what purpose? She turns back in my direction, the hem of her dress sashaying as she walks. It's definitely mind control. Nobody was ever supposed to hear it at all. They didn't count on so many of us being tuned in. As if 2% of the world isn't significant. Of course they claim there's nothing to it, that it's some sort of tinnitus or maybe some other autoacoustic emission. Excuse me, auto what? I rack my brain for a conversational avenue that will lead to the exit. Low-frequency noises produced by the ear. They're trying to claim the hum is an internal thing. But you're certain it's not. It's been recorded. She smiles, perfect white rose, displaying years of dental extravagance. Oh, it's a bitch to do because it's so low frequency. You can't just use a phone. They're not designed to pick up sounds so deep. I shake my head. So, specialized recording equipment? Something like the machines that pick up messages from dead people? Glaring again, she closes the distance between us. You know, for somebody in the 2% Club, you're kind of an asshole. Whoa, whoa. I hold up my hands and take a step back, foam spikes poking me in the back. I didn't mean anything by that. I'm simply aware that ghost hunters have their own recording equipment. I thought perhaps something similar. The hum is real. So no, nobody's borrowing anything from a bunch of nutjob ghostbusters. You think NASA hooks up with mediums when they're trying to pick up signals from space? Personally, I put a lot of stock in ghost hunters. They're talking to real people who just no longer happen to be alive. Of course we leave shades of ourselves lying around after we're gone. But this? Emerald Lady here seems quite certain her theories about the hum can be proven scientifically. I lower my hands, slipping them back into my pockets, tightening my right around both halves of the talisman. Tell me about this experiment in mind control. It's just a theory, but it makes sense. Bear with me, please. I'm treading on dangerous territory, but I'm the sort who always has to speak the words on my mind. One day, those words may become my epitaph. Why go through all the trouble? I mean, this mind control method would require amplifiers and speakers placed all over the world, right? She raises one hand, indexed finger outstretched, but my words keep flowing. Mind control is easy, I say, and well understood. Don't you know anybody who listens to talk radio? She lowers her hand. Valid point. But the hum's been around since the 70s. Probably earlier, but that's when the reports really started coming in. So I'm thinking there's a network that got set up way back when. And whether it's needed or not today, it's still out there. Still running. Something like the floppy disk controllers still used in missile silos. Except they finally replaced those a few years ago, and the hum's still running all over the world. Really? I raise an eyebrow. All over the world? There's thousands of reports. She pivots, then says, Say, we've been in here for long enough. How are you feeling? I'm not certain what she means by long enough, but I'm hopeful that this is the break I've been waiting for. Rather good, now that you mention it. In spite of my misgivings about this strange woman, I have to admit my headache's gone. And it's not the sort of gone that means it's subsided to a tolerable amount of pain. No, it's truly, beautifully gone. Compared to earlier, rather good is actually an understatement. I know you think I'm crazy, says the woman, and I get that. I'd have said the same thing not so long ago, but you're starting to understand. When I open the door, you're going to hear the hum again. It's going to hit hard and fast. She reaches for something protruding from the wall, and I see it. One spike is a little shorter than the others. I'm glad not to have reached for what I thought was the doorknob earlier. I'd have missed it badly. But now I know exactly where it is. I slide the talisman from my pocket, both hands gripping it now. She doesn't turn around until I'm right behind her, and by then, it's too late. The thin wire connecting the two hardwood handles is around her head in a well-practiced flash. The garrote is considered quaint and old-fashioned by modern standards, maybe not so different from floppy disks in missile silos. But after so many years, it's become my good luck talisman. Quick, quiet, always efficient, and fits neatly in a pocket. Once she's dispatched, I let her drop, slip my talisman back into my pocket, and drag her body deeper into the room before returning to the door. The foam covering the handle will make gathering fingerprints a nightmare. Not that mine are on anyone's records. After a long respite of silence, even taking into consideration Emerald Lady's incessant talking, the wall of sound outside the door fills my senses. Voices from far down the hallway, water rushing through pipes, the low rumble of air conditioning. I turn, looking back into the room. Her supine corpse lies where I dragged it to, likely not so different in appearance than the nights she's spent here. I nudged the door closed with my foot. My headache's gone. That deep, rumbling sound she called the hum only becomes audible, only ever causes me pain when I have work to do. Invariably, the person I need to convert seeks me out, a fellow member of the 2% Club. Unlike the vast majority of them, I know exactly what that sound is telling me to do and when to do it. It amazed me the first few times how much of a difference the song of a single soul can make amongst hundreds, perhaps thousands. When I arrived at the gallery today, the chorus, the hum, was a discordant mess, driving and pulsing in my skull. But now, with Emerald Lady's ghostly voice joined in, it's downright pleasant. It's possible one day that it will be my soul voice that's needed to bring the chorus to perfect harmony. But for now, my dispatch has led to peace. I smile, thinking again of the name the artist had given the anechoic chamber, and wondering if she had any inkling how personal peace at last might become. I rejoin the party in the gallery, just another chalk-white face in a de rigueur black attire. Smiling, I accept the glass of champagne that's offered, as I gaze more closely at the rusted chunks of metal that the artist felt might represent a celebration of lust. I begin to hum.
Tone poem, Nobody's Bones, composed and performed by Tim Parker. Sinister Minutes is presented by Kurt Homan and Tim Parker. The musical score was composed and performed by Tim Parker. Our production team consists of Kurt Homan and Tim Parker. On behalf of everyone here at the Sinister Minutes podcast, namely Kurt Homan and Tim Parker, we thank you for listening, for joining us as we explore all the ways in which we are not okay. This audio program is copyright 2024 by Kurt Homan and Tim Parker under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.